Okay, I want to get into artist development with Gracie Abrams.
I started with her from the very beginning.
So
it was a blank slate. And
Dude.
she was a blank slate of just like, what should we do here? It was very early. So
When was this in
2019.
How did you meet?
Her management at the time, when they're like, hey, that artist we told you about a few years ago that we had started managing, we'd love to take them by to meet you. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. So I met with her in December 2019. Exactly 5 years later, we did SNL to the day. It was a really emotional, that was kind of one of those emotional experiences where like at the after party, like show her my calendar from 5 years ago, being like, hey, look, this is our meeting 5 years ago.
Well, and how crazy too that you met her and you're like, oh my God, we're going to do such cool shit. And then 4 months later, it's like, oh, we're all fucked. So
honestly, I was just trying to focus on making any new artist that comes our way, especially the young ones, it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to sit in a room surrounded by a bunch of 30-plus-year-old men, especially if you're a woman.
Oh, yeah.
So surrounding her with more women in her touring industry has been priority number uno.
This episode is brought to you by Extreme Lighting and Sound, also known as ELS Nashville. ELS is a Nashville-based full-service production company that specializes in live production and touring, AVL integration, and fabrication and scenic. They believe in treating every client and project with equal dedication, providing the service, support, and meticulous attention to detail that they deserve. Fairness is a core value at ELS, extending not only to their clients, but also to their valued team. After more than 6 years of development, ELS is excited to announce the launch of their first fabrication products. These products are designed to revolutionize gear transportation between gigs, offering more efficient, faster, and easier solutions. It's so cool. Their goal is to reduce the burden on crews and promote sustainability by offering an alternative to just single-use carts and cases. So to be among the first to discover these groundbreaking products, visit elsnashville.com to join their wait list. For exclusive sneak peeks, make sure to follow them on social media at ELS Nashville. A big thank you to our directory Tier 1 sponsors, Mammoth Sound, Bandwagon RV Rentals, Round the Clock Logistics, The Greatest Show Events, and many more for supporting the gigs community and helping keep the industry moving. Welcome to the Gigs Podcast. I'm your host, Nikki Sands, founder and CEO of Gigs, a professional career platform for the live event industry. On this podcast, we are talking to the very best in the touring and live event industry to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the unreal moments of life gigging and lessons learned on the road. So today's guests are the duo behind the tour collective, The Beehive. Founded in 2016 by Vinnie Ferra and Jonny Stiegler, The Beehive was built to make the touring experience better for artists, yes, but more importantly for the crew. What started as two friends backing each other's clients has become a full-service operation, combining tour management, music direction, custom arrangements, and crew development. They help shape the live sound and stage for artists like Gracie Abrams, Halsey, Masego, T-Pain, Gryffin, and Madison Beer, with a focus on long-term partnership and crew growth. So Vinnie and Jonny, welcome to the Gigs Podcast, y'all.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
So happy to have y'all. And you just got back from Lolla this past weekend?
Yep.
Yeah.
How was it? How'd it go?
It was awesome.
Yeah, it was incredible. Hectic, but it was a lot of fun.
I was there at the beginning. I was only there for 1 day, but he was there for a few extra days.
With Gracie Abrams, with Gryffin.
Gryffin, yep.
What days were y'all playing?
Gracie was Thursday.
Okay.
So the first
Sweet.
day. So we kind of like brought it in.
And Gracie just played Madison Square
Yeah, 2
Garden.
nights.
Yeah, man. Okay, we have so much to get into. Just want to start with, we're going to get into all that, but do you remember a show experience recently, whether it had to do with your emotions or with the actual tour direction and the technical elements that you were like, I love this job?
Obviously, Lolla just happened. We had a bunch of clients there. Gryffin, Gracie, Remy. One of the small ones we work on, Charlotte Lawrence, played an after party and did the festival set, but something about the small ones where she went out, hasn't really done much in a while, did a full band show, and just her coming off stage and that band being so stoked, like that was a big win for them, which felt really good. It's like obviously the bigger shows are incredible too, but something about like the small team just having this big moment went really well. That was a lot of fun.
What does went really well mean?
Just the performance, like she crushed it, the band crushed it. The fans loved it. It kind of like, was a big deal for her. And
That's huge.
That feels really good for, obviously the big ones that we pull off, you have more people, more resources, but for a small client to, really just have that special moment was, it kind of like hits different. So
Amazing. All right.
I think after like a certain period of time, the artists that have been doing it for a long time, they're used to it. So that magical, like kind of moment that happens when you come off stage, it starts to dwindle. And so I think in that moment for a smaller artist like Charlotte, they're coming off stage just wide-eyed. And for us, seeing that, that's like a huge part of the enjoyment of being like, we pulled this off, they're happy. And on the small gigs, it's with little to no resources. Whereas, you know, doing something like Gracie's Lala, we can come off feeling like we're on top of the world because we had a lot more resources to pull it off.
Yeah. It's making me feel like you guys are so involved in these artists' lives from the beginning that kind of the emotions that they're feeling, you're feeling too. But then I'm sure it's on the opposite side of like any negative emotions they're feeling, you guys are feeling too. So are there more good days than bad days, or how do you feel? Yeah.
I mean, because we get to be, selective is probably the wrong word, but
yeah.
I think the selection process happens in both directions. So we're lucky that we get picked, but we're also lucky we pick good people to work with.
Yeah.
So I will say that that's like a big part of it.
Okay, so I want to go back to starting in general. What made you want to get into this industry? And then we're going to get into Beehive.
For me, I was kind of always musical directing before, but didn't know it. I was playing in friends' bands or doing my own music or something like that. So the way I stumbled into touring was completely by accident. Someone saying like, hey, that's a job title, what you're doing for my band right now. I was living in New York. I was like, oh, really? What's that? And he was like, yeah, it's musical directing. Like, people get paid a bunch of money to do that. Like, here's some names of people. And I ended up going to the NAMM show and seeing a musical direction panel with a bunch of musical directors. And I walked out of there with my dad and I was like, I want to do that job.
Oh, yeah.
So that was kind of like my exposure to it. And then I got my first gig in like 2013 and it just didn't stop after that.
Wow. Okay, we're coming back to musical direction, but for you, what was your start?
Yeah, I mean, grew up playing music, you know, since I was a kid. Never really realized all that stuff I was doing when I was younger, like 10, 11, you know, would like make sense now. But kind of knew I always wanted to be in the industry. I grew up in Mobile, Alabama, so it's kind of like difficult down there to get to where, you know, this side of the industry, where I am now.
Totally.
But my brother was in it. He was doing production front of house, and one day an opportunity came up. He's like, yo, if you want to come on tour tomorrow and get you on, you work for free, cut your teeth. I dropped out of college, hopped on the road, and met Vinnie, and that's kind of...
It was pretty quick. Whoa. Like, I had been doing what I was doing for maybe 2-3 years when I met Jonny. Jonny had been doing it for maybe a similar amount of time, a year or two.
Yeah, maybe a year, yeah.
And then we kind of intervene on the same gig together, and we're just like, okay, I finally met someone just as psycho as I am in terms of work ethic. And I think same for him. So that's kind of how it happened.
Do you have the like, did we just become best friends moment?
Yeah, it was
pretty much.
It kind of happened by accident. Like, I feel like we teleported and looked back and go, oh shit, like that all happened. Because we're both very focused on work. So I think it just kind of fast forwarded on the VHS and we're like, oh shit, we just started a company and we didn't realize it.
Oh, that's different.
Yeah.
What is, unpack that. You started a company.
I think we were just trying to service our clients doing what we do, and then we didn't realize that it was building something bigger than that until there was this community of all these people around us, the crew, you know, that we were using on a consistent basis, meaning we were taking a lot of the same dialed teams from artist to artist to artist. Yep. And that was throughout most of 2017. We were just like, we went from this band to this band. I mean, buses even. We were taking buses from tour to tour to tour to save them money. We were doing all these things between clients to save the clients money, unbeknownst to them. They didn't know. And in the end, we're like, wait, this is a thing. Because I was also managing one of the artists that we were doing it for. And I was like, this is working out a lot. Like, we're renting gear in between clients to help the client not have to buy this piece of equipment. Wow. We're like, oh, we have everyone at Lollapalooza at the same time. Let's share some crew. Okay, that saves on flight. That saves on hotels. Whoa. And again, this was all before we really like named it something.
Wow.
So it was just happening organically, and in a way that also all of our clients were starting to hang out with each other.
Cool.
And socialize, become friends and friends with our crew. And so I think that's what really boosted the community aspect.
Dude.
And they were like, oh shit, this is a thing.
Yeah. But it also requires that you guys have the right vibe to create a cohesive group that wants to hang out, especially the artists that you're managing. So that's super interesting. How long did it take to kind of realize, oh my God, this is greater than just, you know, I don't know, mixing everyone together, making sure everyone can go out on the same time?
Say by the end of 2017.
Okay.
We had been doing it. Everyone had been happy. It had been a really positive experience. We got our first unit, as we call it, at our Little Hive location, and we put some client storage in there. And that's kind of when some of the gear sharing started. And then another room opened up, and we're like, should we maybe see if we can like sound treat this and make this a rehearsal room?
Yeah.
Because then we can also help our clients out. This gear is here, just make it really seamless. And again, even just getting to where we are now with our rehearsal spaces, that was also an accident too. I think we just kind of fast forwarded and we're like, oh shit, we did this to service our clients and make the job easier, and now it's a business.
Dude.
So I think that's kind of the same way that started too.
So I could imagine that's a power duo. You got music director and tour management. Like, where do you feel like y'all's strengths are, and how do you, like, why is this duo so powerful? You know, where are any weaknesses that are made up by, and I don't know, that's a weird question, but why do you guys think you work so well together?
I mean, one, like Vinnie said, it's just we were both so dedicated and crazy about doing work and love the work and trying to just keep pushing the limits. And then also the creative and logistical duo, you know, just it clicks. It's like he's, you know, does all the music side, the creative side. He understands production really well, understands logistics, like comes from the tour management world. And from my side, I'm very, you know, like operations behind it.
Copy.
Money, logistics, like big ideas. It's like, all right, well, how can we make that work and dial it back if we have to, you know, stuff like that.
But really the dream was for us to be able to both, like, we could be in two different places at once, having the same conversation with two different clients and equally tell them about all the same information. So like an entry point, like that whole like, God, I wish I had another person who knew all the same things as I did. That's Jonny and I. So when we are speaking to a client, he can take the call or I can take the call, and we can almost always be giving the same kind of consistent advice about problems and or budgets and or decisions.
Copy.
So that's made that really, really easy. And then the yin and yang of musical direction, tour direction is like, the musical direction is completely focused around the band, the arrangements, and things that end up dictating how you transport, who you need to hire to pull the show off. You know, does a musician in the band run the tracks or not? That's going to dictate staffing. So it's a very collaborative thing that previously wasn't collaborative. Yeah. Like at least my understanding in the industry, it was not something where it was like they were working hand in hand to make a better tour and a better budget. They were like, okay, cool, I guess I'll go to the MD and get the costs and then plug it into the budget, and then the TM's representing someone else's cost to the manager, and it's just like a whole snowball.
Putting it all in one. Vinnie, I want to dive into music direction. So you kind of just described the role, but I want to dive deeper into that. Sure. You were a musician, so you can, I'm assuming, like put arrangements together, you know what to listen for, but that also makes you the kind of the leader of the band, yeah?
And it really depends on, now musical director has grown into also like a / technical director in a musical sense. Like there's so much technology involved in shows. In the inception, it was very much like I hire the band, I'm playing in the band, I'm making the arrangements. Technical people are off stage, they're not involved. But that has changed so much with how technology's grown that like as a musical director, you need to know everything there is to know about how a show could be pulled off from a gear standpoint too.
Jeez.
So that's been a huge change that I felt like I grew within, like meaning when I was becoming a musical director, that's when that tech was changing. And everyone who was like the previous kind of regime of musical directors that still do the cream of the crop top gigs in the industry, they had to learn after the fact. Kind of when we talk about the, you know, Gen Z and their phones and whatever versus like Gen X and their lack of understanding with technology, that difference like kind of happened in our industry too.
Interesting.
So there was that big change.
So you're working with the artist to understand what musical direction to take this and how to kind of lead that band. What is the artist's involvement in this, and then where do you take your understanding of what they've given you and then execute?
First, we kind of start with having a conversation about what are their goals, what shows do they love. That's like a big thing with early clients. I've been like, let's watch some YouTube videos of shows that inspire you and see what out there you've been like, oh yeah, I really like how this person performs. I like the band configuration. I like this cool moment of the show. Okay, let's pull some inspo from that, right? And develop whatever their version of that is. So that's kind of how I would always begin it. From there, we go on to, you know, deciding what configuration of band we want, Okay, great. Let's get that budgeted. Let's make sure tour direction people have that information. Okay, great. Now I can move on to arranging, sending the band assets, building the session, getting prepared for rehearsals so rehearsals can be most productive. That's another thing we do really differently is we will try to have as much of the work done before the rehearsal room because that's when the bill starts getting high. That's when you're starting paying for engineers and gear and space and all that stuff. So we try to have all of that dialed beforehand so we can get the most out of those days. We don't just load into a space to, let's figure it out, guys, like we used to when I was in a band. And that's what we would do. And that would take a long time. So now it's like, okay, let's come in as prepared as possible and then make rehearsals all about taking care of the artist and just getting that extra oomph of dialed.
Cool. Yeah, it's cool that you had to learn that lesson the hard way and lose your own money to say, we're not doing that for my clients.
Yeah.
So let's say you have like a startup, brand new artist, and I think Jonny, this will involve you a little bit with budgeting, and they can't afford like a full band. What do you suggest? Let's say it's a pop artist. What do you suggest is like, you got to get this music? Like, what is it? Who in the band is a must that you can budget for?
It's really subjective to the music. Like we'll ask, usually if that question comes up, we'll listen to the music and listen for, is this guitar focused music? Is this piano focused music? Is this music that, just listen to the instrumentation. And a lot of the times we'll be like, okay, cool. Like 80% of the songs are really focused around guitar. We should have a guitar player who can run playback. And that would be like I think Charlotte's doing something right now.
That's
just her and one musician who plays a bit of a bunch of everything. So that was like a pivot to be like, okay, we can't do or don't want to do the full band.
Yeah.
So that was the pivot.
That's interesting. And how do you tell an artist, like, hey, here's the budget, here's what we can do for you? Like, how do you give harder news?
It's like it's collaborative with them. It's kind of like
with the managers.
Mostly. Yeah. Sometimes the artists are more involved, but it's, it starts with the music and the music direction side of being like, okay, you want 4 people in your band. Well, here's what that looks like. So our suggestion is we do drums and guitar because that makes the most sense. And then you kind of show them, kind of walk them through why we suggest that. And then you kind of,
Jonny does a really good job of giving lots of options out.
Yeah.
Like being like, hey, I know this is what you're saying you want. This is what that looks like. Okay, this is what we think you should do. And this is what makes you the most amount of money that we're probably saying you're not going to want to do, but we still feel obligated to give you that selection so you can pick your own universe.
Yes. And then they're given multiple, and then it's their choice.
Yeah, correct. Because what we don't try to do is be like, this is what you're going to do, and that's it. And then we could potentially be placed in a position of blame or credited negatively for their unhappiness with it. So we try to make sure to involve them and give options, even down to, Jonny sending, here's 3 bus options, here's 3 flight options, here's, it's important to do that when it's artist facing. So.
And then for crew, is it more like, hey, here's what it is? Is it different?
I think it's kind of the same thing. It depends on the artist, but like what the artist needs and wants. Like some artists, like, okay, do you really need a tour manager out there? Do you really need a monitor guy? Does this artist have a lot of gear? Maybe they need a tech that can guitar tech. Maybe not. Yep. So it kind of it depends.
Yeah.
And in terms of that communication style with the crew, when we're like confirming them for things, it is also client dependent, but I mean, we can go all the way up to like, we're doing a contract for the year of touring that this artist has. Here's all your deal terms, to just be like, hey dude, it's a one-off this weekend. Here's the rate. Here's the logistics. Are you cool with it? We usually try to be really communicative with the circumstances so that they are cool with whatever they're not, that's not ideal for them. Yeah. I guess to further explain that, I mean like class of service with flights, like it's not going to be on your preferred airline, like those things. We're just transparent, like, hey, we know this isn't what you normally want, but it's a one-off. Like, are you cool with this? And they're like, yeah, that's fine. And they accept it. So that's a big thing too. We try to be really transparent with those circumstances to the crew. And I think they appreciate that instead of what happens a lot of time, finding out in the moment and being like, oh, I didn't know about this. Yep. Or like a late flight, post-show, early load-in. I'm like, hey, by the way, this is the routing, but right here, this is going to suck. Just FYI. And they're like, all good. Thank you for telling me now. So that same style of communication kind of with the crew.
And that's a cool, I would say like kind of a new generation of care in this world. It's kind of like, hey, you get what you get. You're lucky you're even out here, kind of how it's been. And now you're like, I care about you. And I know this is hard.
Far away as possible from that demeanor and that way of leadership, because I do think that trickles back to the artist in terms of if you have people on tour that are being treated that way and carrying themselves that way, the artist is going to feel that and see that. Even if it's just a vibe that's being felt on the tour, you can tell the difference between an artist walking on stage and their shoulders being low because they just came out of their dressing room that was really relaxed. Everyone was feeling happy. No one was like, oh God, it was rough. Oh God, I'm exhausted. Which weighs on other crew too. It ends up being a little bit of a virus that eats through the crew of everyone being like, oh, this negativity is now traveling. So we really try to get rid of that or make ourselves available to talk through it if it does exist.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
How do you, because sometimes when you haven't slept in 4 days and you're on the last show, you're about to have a break, but like everything's awful because you're just tired and sweaty and hot and everything's awful. People just like to bitch. Like how, and then when that virus does spread and then more people are bitching all the time, you're like, what the fuck's going on? Like, how do you guys address that when you're out on the tour, or then maybe when you hear about it if you're not actually out with that client?
I mean, out on it, I think it's like we try to keep it light and fun.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it does suck and it's painful and you haven't slept and you're, you know, taking red eyes, loading in at 6 a.m. It's just like try to keep it light, try to joke about it, have fun. I mean, as much as you can.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the thing. It's just like don't let it get really negative. Like even complaining about it, complain about it in a joking way. Or if somebody's having a hard time, it's like, yo, dude, go take a nap. You know?
Yeah.
When we have the luxury to budget for things like in a certain way, we'll usually add in some kind of like fun activity budget items that we try to get approved.
Like what?
Well, honestly, I leave that up to the tour manager when they're out there of how they see fit on terms of the crew and what the vibe of the crew is. You know, sometimes it could be like, hey, the artist is cool with like an open tab for you and like your partners in this hometown city. We're going to do a little thing for an hour. Oh. That's like, I think, a small thing. Other things when you're in the middle of nowhere, it could be, we're going to go go-karting. We're going to go on a hike. We're going to like, and even in some of our camps, we have community chats that are literally just about off-day behavior and what we're going to do. So we try to build stuff like that in, but to answer how we deal with it when it's already gotten to the point of like, oh cool, like maybe an activity will not fix this. I think it's up to the leadership we've chosen to have out on tour and dealing with it correctly and communicating like kindly and softly to the people that are feeling that way to try to stop it. Or just like be like, hey, I'm here, what's going on? Like I'll listen, instead of being like, what are you complaining about? Shut up. You know? Like you should just be happy to be out on tour. And it's like, yes, we are obviously very happy to be doing what we do. Yeah. But everyone has also signed up for being away from home literally for their whole lives. So
their whole lives. That's a really cool way to, because I feel like so much of the conversation is like people talking about how much they care about mental health, but like it's not actually being implemented. And so people are still getting burnt out and pissed off and all the things. So that's really cool.
Well, I think there's a classy way to not get lost in the sauce of the mental health on tour thing, because everyone who I think is talking about it doesn't actually understand it, because there are people out there that are talking about it that aren't out there, you know? And I think if you can just run your tour in a positive way, you're going to be less concerned with the need to handle those things in a reactive way. You can be proactive about preventing it instead of being like, okay, how do we react to how these people are feeling?
That's huge. That is huge. Wow. So how do you determine who's right for the Beehive and for your tour collective? What are you looking for in these rock stars, and how did you start this? I'm assuming it's people you've worked with that you're like, rock stars, like you're basically a football coach, I'm bringing them out on everything. Like, how did it start, and then how do you, I guess, bring new people in?
The way it started was again very organically. So I was working with just people that I had met through referrals, and it wasn't really a thing yet. So when I was hiring some of our few people that we used for a long time through the beginning, that was just like, okay, cool. We were all figuring it out together. So therefore, it's kind of like we all started melding into this one entity because we all learned from each other. So I learned a lot about audio by collaborating with this audio person, and then now that audio person is one of my favorite people to use because we created the way we work together. And Jonny, same thing with all the other people in his departments, and the workflow we have, we kind of try to clone that when we collaborate with other tour directors, TMs, or musical directors. So that kind of standard was built. and the client facing standard of like having a good time, having fun on tour, all those things we talked about a second ago. So that standard was created, and now it's like we have other representatives outside of us that have helped create that. It's not just created by us. Right. It was created by all these people that were with us from the beginning. I'd say there's probably about 10 to 12 people I would credit in building this community that we have, and they're out there doing the same thing. And then they're like, hey, I met this person that I think thinks like us and operates like us. You should talk to them. We should bring them into the fold. A lot of the time we are like the final person they talk to before we really like put them out there. But you can talk to someone on the phone for 5 minutes. I don't need to ask them if they know anything about audio. I can just talk to them as a human, and we'll know instantly, okay, you have what it takes just in terms of the way you think. Oof. I don't need to ask you questions about how you like to compress something or EQ something, or how what spreadsheet you would use. Just the way you speak to me, I'll know, okay, you're going to be good at whatever you choose to do.
That is crazy. I was actually talking to someone yesterday about this, and he was like, man, this person that they're always available. They're really good at what they do, but they are awful to hang out with. Like you don't want them on tour with you because they're just not a vibe. And like, can you teach someone how to be a vibe? Like, what do you do in that circumstance?
I think we've learned that that's the one. Sorry, I think we've learned that that's the one thing that is hard to teach. So we try not to put ourselves in that position.
Yeah.
Jonny and I would rather sit in the office and teach someone for hours how to do the spreadsheet, how to advance something, put them across emails so they see the way we do things, put them in rehearsals with us so they see the way I MD or build a session, things like that. The other side of it is just like, it's also something that, I don't want to make someone change who they are as a person. True. Or assume that who they are as a person is not up to my standards. Like, who am I to think that?
Right.
So I feel like that's also kind of rude for me to even just be like, hey, I'm going to try to change who you are. There's plenty of incredible gigs for people out there in the world that don't fit into this like little mold that we are now like talking about in theory. Yeah. There's not really a mold, but I just in theory. And I think it's for gigs that are more distant. So like, meaning you just said like, oh, they're not really a vibe on tour or whatever. I'm like, they're still, if they're great at their job, they're going to do really well at the stadium level, because at that level, there's way less socializing and hanging out,
True that.
So there's a place for everyone as long as they're a hard worker.
That's a really good point. I'm glad you said that, because there's hope. Even if if you're not hanging well, there's hope for you. Okay, I want to get into artist development with Gracie Abrams and Gryffin, and just your involvement when you started with them and your role right now and kind of your future for the rest of this year and into next year. Do you want to start, John?
You should start with Gryffin.
Let's go.
Gryffin, all right.
Because that's been quite the journey, because we were both involved with him at different times.
Really?
And I'll let you take it.
You started with him
2015. I was MDing for him
before
I met Jonny. Yeah.
Can I wait real quick? How do you MD for that kind of artist?
That's what I was saying about the technical side.
Yeah.
It was like Dan knew what he wanted arrangement wise. I just had to show him how to build it out to where he could figure out how to play it.
Oh.
So he knew what he wanted, and he built all the music. I advised on how he built the session and to make it efficient so it would be stable. But I was like, cool, let's do a drum pad, guitar, we'll do a MIDI controller. It was very collaborative.
Totally.
So it's like having a record producer. Like,
very
the
cool.
artist can't record their own record in a lot of ways, so it's like I'm that for him.
Ah.
So I did that for him for like a year plus.
Very cool. That's 15. Okay.
And then it was 2022. He was doing Bonnaroo, and he came back into MD and helped out with that show. At that time, they were looking for a new like tour director, tour manager type person. He brought me in. So I came out and started with him in July, August of 2022, and they were just starting his like big fall tour. So I came in with like 2 weeks.
Oh.
Didn't really know anybody out there. Didn't really know what was going on. Kind of inherited the show and this plan, and we got through that. And then it was just kind of like seeing how they worked, seeing what was inefficient, where I felt like there was a lot of waste and money and kind of creative ideas. Just, I don't know, a way to make it more economical and easier to tour. So we went into 23 and we got really tight and started trusting each other on this process. And we unfortunately made a lot of cuts, which helped save a lot of money. And then we started building this thing back up to where it's kind of this well-oiled, efficient touring machine where he's getting the show he wants, but we're not like wasting or, spending all this money and doing all this stuff that he didn't necessarily want.
It's crazy. Yeah.
They think they want these things, and what you see is going on, but you don't necessarily need that all the time.
There's also so many people around with opinions too.
Yeah.
So it can be so easy to get lost, especially as you're trying to try something new and everyone's saying, do this or do that or whatever. And you're like, I don't know what I want. Like now I'm confused, And I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm just in a situation like that.
It does when you have, 10 different people with a leader position telling you what to do in each different department. It kind of get out of hand. If there's not like one person kind of wrangle all those people in, which is, I think, a big thing that we kind of give, and we're lucky to be able to give our opinions on stuff like that, to wrangle stuff in but still deliver.
That's huge. I mean, like, I, as a business owner right now with I feel that, like, because you're taking all the opinions and you think, oh, I need the help here, so I'm going to hire this, and then I'm going to hire that, and then realizing the core issue isn't fixed by that. Right. And so, how do you just become lean again? But hey, any successful business makes cuts to restart. Exactly. That's huge.
And that was a unique one too, because like he said, like I started with it and then we didn't work with him for a long time. So when we came back into something that had been developed for a few years and had to rearrange it a little bit or deal with maybe things that were from the predecessors before us and adjust. So it's a little different than, say, for example, Gracie, right, where I started with her from the very beginning. So it was a blank slate. And she was a blank slate of just like, what should we do here? It was very early. So
when was this in
2019?
How did you meet?
Her management at the time, I knew because they used to work at Apple.
Cool.
And they hit me up and they're like, hey, that artist we told you about a few years ago that we had started managing when they were like at 16 or something like that.
Yeah.
I was like, we'd love to take them by to meet you. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. So I met with her in December 2019. Exactly 5 years later, we did SNL to the day. It was a really emotional. That was kind of one of those emotional experiences where, like, at the after party, like, show her my calendar from 5 years ago, being like, "Hey, look, this is our meeting 5 years ago."
Well, and how crazy too that you met her and you're like, "Oh my God, we're gonna do such cool shit," and then 4 months later, it's like, "Oh, we're all fucked." So
honestly, I was just trying to focus on making any new artist that comes our way, especially the young ones. It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to sit in a room surrounded by a bunch of 30-plus-year-old men. Especially if you're a woman.
Oh, yeah.
So surrounding her with more women in her touring industry has been priority number uno.
Did you see that or did she request it?
It was collaborative between me and management.
Yeah.
Like at the Gracie changed management in between like kind of her growth
cool.
spurt. So that new manager and I collabed heavily on that. And we were fortunate enough to get an incredible TM like right out of the gate, first tour for her that's been with her since.
Wow.
And that's been really influential too. She's brought on lots of incredible females too, and that's been awesome for Gracie. But the development in the beginning is everyone is different, like we keep saying.
Yeah.
The emphasis. But with Gracie, it was about I've never performed in front of a PA. I've never sang in front of a wedge. I've never done any shows. So that, you throw any artist into that out of the gate, they're destined to be like stressed, anxious, scared. I mean, it just depends.
Yeah.
And so for her, I set her up with like a rehearsal room with all those options. In-ears, wedges, microphones, keyboards, guitars. Let's teach you how to play your songs in the stripped down environment and get you comfy.
Yeah.
It was really beneficial. It was more like I took her to school. Like it was education time for her. And the pandemic canceled the shows that she was going to have. So then her and I pivoted to doing all these concerts on Zoom.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me about that. Was this in 2020?
Yep.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
How did you set that up? Did she have a fan base that you could send directly to?
She had been posting YouTube videos, and we basically put up an ad mat for a Zoom tour.
Oh my gosh.
And I had sent a rig to her house. We can go into tons of incredible stories to think about how we pivoted in the pandemic.
Yeah.
When and if you want to. But this one specifically, we have playback rigs that we rent out to our clients as an easier entry point to getting into that because it's an expensive thing to buy at the beginning.
Yeah.
So we own them to just be like, hey,
Smart.
let's just see if you want this or need this. I repurposed those as mobile record rigs in the pandemic, so I was tracking vocals for artists remotely.
Cool.
And then I was like, wait, why don't I just do this for Zoom? So we made these Zoom concerts with her performing with like an SM7, headphones. Her vocal had reverb on it. It was like pretty dialed. I was like fading in house music from Spotify. It was like it was like a concert. And and she actually took photos of that and put it in her concert, like from all that kind of stuff. But so we did that for the better part of that summer, and then her first show wasn't until 2021, like September. And
then 2025. No, it was 2024. It was SNL.
Yeah, 2024.
And then this year just did, what was the opening show?
TD Garden.
Dude.
2 nights. Yeah.
2 nights?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
And she's what, 21 now?
No, she's 25.
25. Yeah. Okay, I didn't do any math there.
Yeah.
Cool. That's crazy. If you don't know what Gigs is by now, it is the career platform for the live event industry. Professionals join, employers join, post jobs for free, apply to jobs for free, network, connect. It's truly the hub for the industry. If you are not on Gigs yet, go to gigs.live and join as a professional or an employer. Again, free to post jobs, find your new crew, free to apply to jobs, find your next gig. And I know it's like we don't have to talk about 2020, but I mean, for the role, if you guys were in it starting 2014, how did your life change in that? I would love to hear about some of those pivots. They're like, how do we keep our business alive? How do we keep our clients happy? How do we pay our rent? All that. And then how life is a little bit different after. So yeah, I would love to hear some of these pivots.
I think a big symbol of just like our business in general happened day one of the pandemic and the relationships we have with our artists. We got a call from Youngblood on March 13th or 14th, which I think was the day
lockdown.
Trump did his whole spiel about we're shutting down borders or whatever. And he was like, I want to do a live stream concert at the Hive. And we're like, oh, okay, we'll figure it out. And like everything had just been shut down. So we got a broadcast truck, camera people, audio people, loaded it in, did a live stream at 6 a.m. to YouTube.
Oh my gosh.
And it was massive. We had like MGK, Bella Thorne, what was the Oliver Tree, like all these people came on, and it was, and that's kind of how we rang the pandemic in. And then obviously things went away, subsided, everyone was at home, and there was a few weeks where everyone thought, this is only going to be a few weeks, it's fine. And it wasn't. And we had just expanded into our second location, so we didn't really have a choice. So, but because we led with this incredible collaborative thing with Youngblood, everyone thought of us right out of the gate as the people that could do this for them.
Yes.
So, and the crew too, everyone was like, oh shit, the Beehive's doing stuff.
It's
the
work.
lockdown. And so that went straight into doing pre-tape concerts for late night shows, music videos, live streams for colleges.
Oh my gosh.
We did that pretty much all of 2020. And then Moment House became a platform, did a bunch of stuff with them, specifically like a Black Bear live stream at the Roosevelt Hotel was the first Moment House live stream.
Oh, wow.
So we were really involved in a lot of the first stuff.
The pivot. Okay, what is the Hive? Tell me about, and then you said a second location. I want to hear more about this.
You want to talk about Little Hive to Big Hive?
Yeah, Little Hive. Our first unit we got in 2017. That was a little storage unit. Opened up a rehearsal space in 2018 early.
Got it.
And they're like little 20 by 20 garages that we kind of outfitted. Later on in 2018 or 19, I think we needed a bigger space. So right down the street from our small location, we got a 5,000 square foot warehouse. That turned into getting a second one.
Oh my gosh.
That turned into getting a third 5,000 square foot warehouse. And this is right when the pandemic happened. So we had just
done all this expansion and
all
then
this
everything shut down.
Yeah, and then we're just like, what
oh my gosh.
do we do now? Yeah.
Well, you did it. You did something with it. So, yeah.
We were really private before that. Like our Instagram was private. Like people didn't really. Beehive was client only.
Very internal. Yeah.
Very internal. And then the pandemic kind of put us on the map. Mostly, like I said, the crew, which was a big part of our focus on taking care of crew because the crew just lost everything.
Right.
In terms of I thought this industry that was stable forever, and it was not.
Yeah.
So we did focus a lot on cancellation terms and contracts and things like that as things came back.
Smart. What are some of those? I would love to hear about that.
It depends on the client comfort because again we try not to make everything cookie cutter because everyone has different standards, different business management, different
budgets,
trauma. They might have trauma. They might have situations from before that have influenced the way they run their business now. Yeah. In terms of what they share with people, what they don't share, stuff like that. But it's usually X amount of days, this percentage if it's canceled. Yeah. X amount of days, this percentage of kind of, and then works its way backwards. And that's all subjected to whether or not someone's on retainer too.
Copy. So. Is it free? with country in Nashville, like it's more frequent to have someone on salary because they're touring all the time. It's just like so many festivals, one-offs. But with pop and rock and other genres, like how often do you have a full-time TM? How often do you have a full-time?
It's less common, but
okay.
In our industry to see retainer in pop.
Yeah.
Because it's so kind of, I think people are still on edge about like what's next. And like with touring, even this year has been like kind of a rocky year for touring. You know, things have kind of dwindled in the fall. Mm-hmm. So I think not everyone, but putting key members like TMs or certain integral bandmates has still been a thing. It's all dependent on like if this person is unavailable, how much more money does this cost me? So if I have a late night performance last minute and get an offer at SNL and my drummer's not available, now I have to re-rehearse a drummer I don't know, I'm not comfortable with. That's the element that makes artists kind of commit to those things.
Yep.
As well as artists like Gracie, highly motivated to take care of her people just like we are, kind of was a big part of their growth together. So that is an element that influences those decisions too.
Wild. And then it's the artist, you're giving them the option there of, hey, you could do this, it's going to cost this. Here's the good, the bad. Yeah.
We try to lighten that load onto the artist side by having the community being able to have crew jump from one tour to another and finesse the schedules to make it work.
Yeah.
Which I feel like a lot of other people are like, hey, you're unavailable, you don't get the gig. And we're like, oh, it's only one show. Let's try to figure out how this TM can go from doing Gryffin to Gracie, no problem.
That is revolutionary.
It's just helpful for all parties, you know, and artists trust that we have a good judgment of character and ability and we're going to make it seamless. Those kinds of things more comfortably happen with audio individuals, you know, with monitors in front of house, sharing files. People have similar workflows now. Like we said, everyone hangs out and spends time together. So there's a group of audio guys that would all exchange hands on their monitor files because they think similarly, they trust each other.
Cool.
That was very uncommon before. Because people all kind of did things differently.
I think people sometimes wanted to do things differently to be like, I'm different.
This is my
Don't get rid of
skill.
me.
You can't,
I'm going to miss that wedding because if I go to that and you get a good sub that you like more, then I might get fired. But I do it special and you can't even, like, people are sabotaging other people that are subbing in, you know, not giving them, interesting.
That doesn't happen with us.
Hell no. Good. Love to hear that. And this is the new generation. That's what really excites me. How do you explain what the Beehive is to someone who's outside of the industry? You meet a random person at a bar and you're like, what do you do? What do you say?
It really depends on the question, but sometimes we relate it to whatever they do. You know, so I try to ask them what they do. What do you do for work? You know, and if they're like, oh, I work in film, I'm like, cool. We're like the producer of the movie, but for the tour.
Yeah.
You know?
There you go.
What I do is like general contractor a lot. I'm like, you know, you're hiring somebody to build their house. We're kind of like a GC for a tour.
That's a good one.
Aww, so humble.
Tried to like relate it to something that is relatable to them.
It's smart.
Because it is like tough. I mean, even going to family gatherings and someone's like, hey, you still working with Halsey? And you're like, yeah, I do. Like, are you on stage? And you're like, no, Grandma, I'm not on stage. Like, I make the show happen. She's like, why aren't you on stage? Like that kind of thing. So, you know, we try to relate to where they would understand.
That's really smart. I feel like that's just being around I work in music, or I'm a general contractor. That's hilarious. Okay, I want to get into budgeting because I'm doing that, and I don't like it. There's so many moving pieces, and with you guys, like there is no standard. It's not like, well, the budget for this should always be this and this and that. So, did you go to school for business, first of all? Study any accounting or finance or anything?
I did not.
Okay. No. Did this just come more naturally to you?
Yeah.
How did you learn?
I just getting thrown into it just
by doing.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the stuff at this point now with, I think, budgeting for both of us, it's like, you just kind of know what things cost.
Yeah.
So it kind of comes, it's like somebody's like, oh, we're going to do a bus and a trailer. We want 12 people. I'm like, well, buses these days are going about $2,500 a day all in. Your gas is looking like this. The hotels are on average $180. Flights are domestic. You know, it's just like, you can kind of shoot these numbers off because we do it so much. And we see so many deals, so many expenses, so many budgets.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, you know, it's second nature.
Okay. Well, and that's why, you need someone with experience. So let's say a newer artist comes to you. Let's say, I don't know, a pop artist comes to you with $50K budget for 5 shows. What is important to this artist? Like, what's your first step with budgeting for this and getting this thing started?
First Steps band. MD.
Yeah.
Obviously they're there because of their music.
Yeah.
So that's the important part, is making sure that part is dialed. At the end of the day, it's what the people are hearing the songs. That's why they're there.
And it's trickled down to the staffing. Like I said earlier, if whatever the band configuration is or isn't, influences what you need to take out, which would ultimately influence the budget and rehearsals. Startup costs, those are the biggest costs. So sometimes when someone comes to us with, hey, I have a $50K budget for this, I go, what else do you have going on this year? Because the startup to make this show happen alone might cost your total budget. But if you have other shows for us to amortize this across, then we could separate that and put it across your 3 tours you have this year and use this $50K just for these 5 shows. Because the startup is the most expensive. It's the number one thing we have to usually explain to people when a first budget is high. And that's why getting a client right at first is always the toughest part, because you're showing them the most expensive budget they're probably going to see for a while.
What is in that startup budget?
Rehearsal space, the prep, musical direction, arranging the band. Gear purchases are a huge part of startup. In-ear molds, in-ears, wireless ears, all that kind of stuff. So it's very front-loaded and the hardest part to get across the line. So even when tour support, people are like, we're going to use all our tour support in the beginning. I'm like, I mean, yeah, kind of, because then after that, the hope is that you start to make your own money.
So maybe that $50K, they might not make anything back. They might not net.
Most likely
Probably
not.
not.
Yeah.
Copy.
But if that's a priority to them, we'll give them the information to show them how that's possible. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. You want to do 5 shows, $50K with rehearsals. Okay, cool. You might have to do this artist solo, vocal to track, and a TM who runs playback, and you use all house sound people on wedges with a hardwire vocal. That's okay, cool. You want to do it. We don't advise you do that. We don't think it's going to be the greatest product, and we don't think it's going to lead to you getting the next 5 shows booked for $75K this time, which is a focus for us, which is a part of the development aspect of our company. Is we're thinking like that. We're not just thinking about cool, let's give them the meal they asked for. That's okay, cool, but maybe you want a side of fries.
Yeah. Do you ever take on a client? Because I would assume, I have an opinion on what you guys would do, but a client that's I want a bus, when you're like, bitch, you don't need a bus.
All the time.
Yeah?
Johnny is the king of these conversations, because like I said, there's here's V6 of your budget showing you a different version of your travel.
Yeah.
He's the king of that stuff.
How do you get through their heads this is not a necessary cost for you right now?
I mean, it kind of just ends up being their decision. And for some people, I'm like, look, if you have the money and you really want a bus and we're rolling up to 250 cap clubs, then more power to you. But, like Vinnie said, so we show you all the others, here's the Sprinter band option, and this is what you probably should be doing. Or here's you're driving your friend's Prius option, which some people should do that. And then it's here's what the bus is going to cost. And then we'll compare it to, we'll be like, all right, well, if you're doing the bus, you're going to save on this many hotel rooms. You're going to save on a van rental. We show them the price difference and stuff. But if people really want it, we can't make them do something.
Yeah,
right.
You're hoping their manager,
you're advising.
Their business manager is leading them in the right direction, but sometimes they're going to get what they really want to do. Yeah.
Sometimes their ego leads. Damn.
Or just what they think that they should have,
Yeah, right.
I've had clients be like, I need a bus. I have to be on a bus.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, you don't have to. This is the cheaper way to do it.
So I have to show up
exactly.
on a bus.
There's some competitive aspects to the industry, peer-to-peer, between colleagues. That happens a lot. And especially with the internet now, everyone can see what so-and-so's bus looks like. They can see what they have on tour with them.
Yeah.
Logistics, stuff that was previously behind the curtain.
Wow.
So there is more competitive things that do affect our job. There's also musicians that get hired directly from artists DMing them.
Wow.
This bass player did a cover of my song. I want to hire them.
Wow.
Okay, cool. I'll reach out to see if they're free. Oh, they have a manager.
Whoa.
So that happens a lot too.
The internet has totally changed everything.
Well, just the ability, our industry is fully out there now on the internet.
Right.
For everyone to talk about and see and judge or critique or get involved in. Whereas I think 10 years ago, it was 100% not.
No.
Probably the case for most people's industries for the internet. It's not just us.
True. Yeah, but for this, that was the beauty of this industry is no one really knew what was going on.
Yeah.
And now we have a podcast trying to expose that. Not really, but really just shine the light on what you guys are doing. That I think ultimately the thing that we lost 25% of our workforce. we're struggling to find good people.
Yeah.
We need to bring in the new generation of people, but that takes a lot of time. And anyways, so there's good and bad to all of this. Going about, either bus or van and kind of doing like the hard life, doing that 10,000 hours. When you were talking about Gracie, her first shows were canceled and then it gave you more time to rehearse. What do you guys see in developing artists of seeing that 10,000 hour rule of like, all right, instead of going to this bigger club or, bigger venue, let's do this small club to sell it out and do it over and over and over to get your chops up. Like, what is y'all's, and of course I know it's going to be different for everybody, but what do you tend to like to recommend for artists?
Show up to rehearsals and be there for as long as your schedule allows is something that I feel like not a lot of artists get told, because they have so many other things going on. They're like, oh, just squeeze in rehearsals into my busy schedule. Some artists view rehearsals as a nice escape from their other responsibilities if we make it an environment they want to be at. So for artists like Gracie and some others, they're excited to be at rehearsals. They're not dreading it. They're not like, oh, I have to go to rehearsal. They're like, get me to rehearsal. Tell my manager I have to be at rehearsal at 10 a.m., even though I'm going to sit in the green room and wait for you guys to be ready for me. So like there's an aspect of that, So I think pushing them to want to be there and creating an environment for them to want to be there. And then also like even early days with Charlotte Lawrence, one of Jonny's clients, we did warm-up shows under an alias at random venues in Orange County. Smart. And I think that's super helpful to do because a lot of these artists get really big online and then they go out and they do their first show in front of critics.
Yeah.
And
with phones.
And everything lives on the internet and everything's there. You don't get the opportunity to make a mistake, especially if you have a lot of eyes on you. Maybe there's some family involved or maybe there's like you've already have a label deal. So there's aspects of that. So we try to motivate people to do things like that.
That's so interesting. I was listening to some like comedian talk about this of like their craft is you have to do it live. And so they're, whenever I go to see a show, you're putting it in the MagSafe. Do you see that maybe trending for musicians too? Because they got to do it live to get that muscle.
I don't see it as
much
out. As I'd like to see it.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, you're totally right. Stand-up comics go to random open mics.
Yes.
And then that's when you end up hearing those stories about so-and-so being at this open mic and
totally bombing.
Or just trying out new jokes. And you're like, wow, Daniel Tosh just walked into this random open mic.
Right.
So I think that happens less so.
Yeah, that's interesting. Industry.
Well, it's like
pressure's on.
Pop, probably in country, there's a lot of people that are playing bars still, cover bands,
True.
doing their own thing. In pop, it's like, a lot of these artists aren't cutting their teeth doing cover band
Everyone wants
stuff
it to be a more polished launch.
Yes.
And just be like, cool, let's take them from nothing to something.
Their first show could be in front of, 1,500 people or whatever, and they've never done it before.
Right. That is wild. Yeah. I feel like country is always kind of doing their open mic or they're doing the writers round or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. Pop, it's like, I might have a showcase once this year. It's like,
something
how are you going to get good at it?
Did really well with her in the beginning is they did her first like headline tour, but then they put her on festivals and support slots and like big support slots, like arenas.
Yeah.
So she had to learn how to command a big room of a bunch of people who didn't care. So like that was big learning for her. Yeah. If I can reference like another client like Maggie Rogers, like she's one of our few clients that we worked with also very, very beginning with her, but she at least had a background of knowing what it was like to sing in a venue in front of a wedge. Like she knew how to project her voice, stuff like that. Post-pandemic, sorry to say it, but like that doesn't really exist. Because you have these 23-year-old, 25-year-old artists that were making music and developing their career in a time where you couldn't even go do a show. Yeah. So
wait, you guys should have something, the Hive, that's like that. Like it's a place where you can't have your phones in there and it's like you just practice show. Yeah.
We try to motivate people to do little friends and family viewings last day.
Dude.
Like if we have the luxury of time and budget and rehearsals to add an extra day where no actual work is being done, they're just doing fully dress rehearsal.
Yeah.
We'll be like, invite your manager, invite your girlfriend, invite your partner, invite your friends and family, because that's going to make you perform differently and awkwardly go through your talking points in front of people you know.
Yeah.
Because then you'll have no problem saying it in front of a room full of strangers.
How we do in Seattle? Yeah, right.
Literally, we make them do that.
Yeah.
It's just helpful, and they want to do it too,
Yeah. That's really smart, yeah. But then it's strangers too. People actually that you know is more intimidating.
Yeah, it's worse.
Yeah. That's cool. Okay, I want to get into a rapid fire round for both of you guys. All right. So, first tour you ever worked on?
First tour, real tour, Ting Tings.
Okay.
Ting Tings, yeah.
Nice.
The Knox.
Hell yeah. Were you playing?
No, I was tour managing. They were supporting RAC.
Okay.
In St. Lucia.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long were you with your band?
My band?
Yeah.
Oh God, really don't want to talk about my band.
We're getting into your
kidding,
band.
That's fine. I've been making music my whole life.
Yeah.
Like, that was the thing. But I did a solo project from like age 19 until 26.
Damn.
Yeah. So like it didn't go anywhere. But
Yeah.
I learned a lot, and I had a revolving door of musicians that made me a really great musical director, I'd say.
That's awesome.
So,
it's cool to see
like 6-7 years, put out like 2 albums.
And most recent tour that you've been out on. First tour you ever worked on, and most recent one. Was it just Gracie?
Most recent of me like actually being on tour was probably 2017.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, when I was in the band with Halsey. I was in the band for 2 years.
I think I saw that show when you came to Nashville.
Oh, which one?
The Ascend show. I want to say it was that year. No. It was 2018 or 2019.
Yeah, I wasn't in the band.
Damn.
But I was probably there. I was at CMT's with her and Kelsey Ballerini.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, hey.
Yeah.
I saw you.
That was
okay.
fun.
Cool. And Gryffin is your most recent.
Gryffin, yeah, like bus tour. I think was maybe Eric Nam.
Sweet.
Yeah,
Back in 2022,
Yeah.
and then got into the EDM world, which is
All flying.
yeah.
All flying. Why is that?
Too many shows and too many
Too many shows back to back.
Yeah.
Recently we did like Calgary to LA to Croatia to Vegas in 4 days. So.
Do you like that more than a bus?
Yes and no. You're home more. You're like off during the week because usually the club stuff is the weekends. But the chaos and the consistency on this, like loading in a show, it's the same thing every day on a bus and truck tour. The EDM world, it's different every single show.
And your bus isn't getting delayed because of mechanical issues as frequently as
Yeah.
maybe a flight or something
Oh,
like that.
God,
or like
yeah.
showing up, to the airport, checking bags. It's like a whole process,
Yeah.
sometimes. And I think that can be really draining if
Yeah.
you're doing it a lot. But then there's aspects of it when it's like really lean and mean and easy. It's like, oh yeah, that was great. Like I landed, went straight to the venue, did the show, went to the hotel, slept, went home the next day, was gone for 36 hours. So
When you guys just did the Pinnacle, because I was there, Gryffin, and I wish I knew you before that, but when you were at the Pinnacle, how big was your team to get that all set up?
That one was, I think we were touring with like 7 or 8 guys, all in, including the artist.
That's cool. Very
'cause
lean.
it's a big
Very
show.
lean.
Very big show.
And we hire, everything locally. Like every drawing, we have a really great production and lighting designer who redraws for every single venue, which,
Damn.
That's a whole load of work.
Yeah, I mean, every single show we're doing is a completely new show. We try to keep it consistent, but it's all local vendors, local crew, local hire, and we're redoing it every weekend.
That is stressful.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And you just don't really know who you're going to get
Yeah.
in all the cities. And is it because you trust the people that are referring these people, or how do you?
Yeah, we have a lot of great vendor contacts now
good.
from between, everybody at the Hive. Even if we're going to a city where we haven't worked with someone, we're calling someone who might have been there before, and another production manager be like, yo, who would you use? Who's your guy? And he's like, oh, I got you. And it's kind of like
great.
trusting that stuff. Yeah. But
And a lot of the vendors we work with now too are getting more and more global.
yeah.
Meaning they have more and more people they can control the quality of in other markets, so that makes it easier too.
We'll get you guys on gigs too. Okay, one artist you haven't worked with but you would love to work with.
All of mine are going to be like artists I'm fans of.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, oh, I'd love to work with like Bon Iver or Flight or like bands like that because I love really organic music.
You would be so in with the music too. That'd be so cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I'm on a Tyler Childers kick right now.
Let's go.
Yeah.
We're
He's
working in
awesome.
so much pop and EDM and stuff, but I really love, I listen to a lot of country music and more like Americana style stuff. So I think working with some artists like that would be really cool.
His show is wild.
We happen to
so
like
good.
when we're listening to music, we're usually listening to the music we don't work on.
Right.
So we've developed music tastes that are not in our genre.
Cool.
Yeah.
Of what you're actually just listening to.
Yeah, and that's not to say we're not fans of our artists. It's just
Yeah.
like when I'm sitting at home cooking dinner and chilling, I don't want to listen to, Madison Beer.
Yeah.
Not ripping
No
dubstep
offense,
on a
love you.
Sunday, yeah.
What is your favorite room to work a show in? Maybe favorite venue you've ever worked in, but what type of venue? Like if it's a club or an amphitheater, or like what's your favorite?
I feel like everyone has the same answer to this about it being like 930 Club or like something like that.
No, what's the one everyone says, Annabelle? What's the venue that everyone says? Sorry. Guilford. Yeah, have y'all ever did that? That's probably more country. Yeah, anyways, I don't know. But so not everyone says that.
I think big, like the Armory up in Minneapolis is a
great
sick
venue.
room. Or
Yeah.
like Bill Graham, like those like
Cool.
5,000 to 6,000. They're not too big because you don't feel. Sometimes those bigger like 12,000 cap rooms, it feels so separated.
Right.
You can't really. There's no connection. But at that like 4,000 to 6,000 level, I feel like it's intimate enough where the energy's there. But you can still do like a really big production, stuff like that. So
Also, the types of people that go to those shows
Yeah.
are really special. Like, really want to stand and watch music.
Right.
Yeah.
I missed the Ace Theater in LA. That was a gorgeous venue. I saw so many incredible shows there. And then I feel like any theater is going to be my favorite because I love the experience of a seated show for a lot of the music I work on. I just think you get a lot more of people's attention.
Yes.
So like all the Paramount theaters, I think, are really cool. Is that the name of the venue in Seattle? Paramount?
Oh, I should know.
The theater? Anyway, I'm pretty sure it's
Really
called the
great theater
Paramount.
in Seattle, or not Seattle, San Francisco, Oakland area. What's that one? Like 2000 Fox.
Oh, Fox Theater.
Oh,
Oakland.
that's cool.
Yeah, that's a cool venue
really
too.
good.
Yeah. What do you think is the most underrated position in a tour crew that people kind of just brush off, but it's like,
Any size?
yeah.
Right now, I'm currently obsessed with the coolest job title ever, which is a dock master.
What?
Yes. I didn't know.
Tell me more.
I feel like I'm outing myself as an inexperienced, like in terms of higher level, but a dock master, his job is the dock and the trucks.
Oh.
So normally on smaller tours, falls into your stage manager.
Yeah.
But when you're at all these venues with not the greatest load-ins and the push is far or it doesn't have as many docks as you need, you get a dock master. And this was at the advisement of our production manager on a project. He was like, we really need this position. I was like, I'm going to trust you and just say, I'm going to put this in the budget and let's do it. And then I saw it in real time and I was like, he's got an iPad. His name's Ricky. He's a badass. He's got an iPad. He's just out there with all the trucks yelling at all the forks, like going in and out of the venue, like has the whole load of every semi on this iPad. I'm like, this is a job and it saves so much money on labor because this person is making the in and out more efficient. It was really impressive.
Wow.
I have to say, like, the coolest job I've seen at that level. You know.
What does the stage manager do?
Stage manager's receiving and then distributing. Obviously, the stage manager's doing so much more in terms of show facing. So there's a lot more. And he's on the receiving end. Because on places like MSG and Forum, these pushes are far. It's not like a dock and stage, like a festival or something. So MSG is a huge ramp. I think we had like 15 forklifts going at MSG this past week.
Bro.
And so someone's got to be able to receive. They know the colors. They're sending it. They're assigning local hands to our crew. Things like that.
That's sick. Dock master. I get it. All right. Very cool.
It's the coolest job title ever.
Yeah. What is one creative risk that you guys did that really paid off? Something that you felt a lot of fear in making the decision?
Probably, I would say the pandemic stuff we were doing.
Yeah, I would say all the pandemic stuff for sure. I mean, I don't want to give such a short answer to such a good question.
Yeah, I'm like rapid fire.
Yeah.
Let's go deep. Cry.
I mean, it was really emotional and it brought a lot of people closer together. We kind of call it like college, like because none of us went to college, as we were saying earlier. Yeah. So the pandemic was a bunch of people that felt like, you know, we didn't have to wear masks around each other all the time because we were with each other all the time. We weren't doing anything else because we didn't want to compromise the work in front of us. Because also at a certain point, we collabed with the company on COVID testing. And so we were able to have that on site. Nice. So everyone was being extra cautious because we didn't want to lose work again. Because one person gets it, next thing you know, we all can't work. So we took it pretty seriously then, and just to protect the workflow that was coming in. So I think that was our biggest pivot.
Yeah.
Ever. Yeah. We took a really risky move in 2022 to expand again. And we got our third location called Super Hive.
Dude. Okay, you got Little
Hive, Big Hive, and Super Hive.
Yep.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically just did that because we wanted to make grown-ass men with ponytails say Super Hive. Yeah. You know? Like
Super Hive. And what do you do there? Same yeah, just larger?
So Little Hive is like small rooms for your bands.
Yeah.
Big Hive has got 2 large production rooms that are capable of doing your small bands production rehearsals or your big bands band rehearsals. Meaning like big artists with a 4-piece band who's doing stadiums, they could rehearse there and just have their audio package and everything. Or small artists doing the Fonda needs to bring their lighting and video in, they can do it there. And then Super Hive is more traditional format dance studios that are multi-purpose. So similar to the center stagings of the world and such, and shared facilities. So like you'd see someone else you're working with, whereas our other facilities are all private.
It's a big freaking deal. Congrats, y'all.
Thank you.
Are you freaking kidding me?
Really just built it to service our clients, and then it grew bigger by accident.
But that's the way to do business. Like the demand is coming, and then you're servicing the clients. What is one item that you have to tour with, and it can't, not your phone or your laptop, but like you can't leave without this item?
How many people have answered this question with like a coffee machine? That's not my answer, but I feel like everyone I know, if they were here right now, they'd be like, oh, my coffee pelly.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, your coffee pelly. Okay, cool.
What is that?
Oh, lots of guys just like bring
their own coffee thing?
Pelican with
coffee pelly?
Yeah.
I've never heard that.
Yeah. Well, because Pelly's short for Pelican.
Totally.
People put all their coffee stuff and they flip top it over next to the monitor world in front of the house. They do their own pour over. And I'm like, you really miss home, don't you?
Yeah. Hey, that's a little slice of home. Would that be y'all's?
No, I don't drink coffee.
Okay.
But I think mine would, I don't know. I'd have to think about it longer because I don't travel as much. That's the difference.
Oh, right.
So it's like, for me, when I do leave, I'm kind of like, okay, I guess I'm going all the way to Glastonbury to do broadcast for blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I'm just like packing a go bag and not really thinking about my needs to do the job. I'd probably honestly say my headphones, but that might categorize as like
that's a need.
As laptop.
You need to be in your own. Yeah.
I have to use these headphones for everything, and I know them like speakers, so that I bring those everywhere I go.
Hell yeah.
Mine's probably pretty simple. Like those little hydration packets, like vitamin tea. Those are my go-to. If I'm bringing anything, it's like my backpack. Make sure I'm set with those because on the go all the time, trying to stay hydrated is obviously a huge thing, a pretty obvious one, but it's tough when you're running around a lot. But that thing saves me.
After being out with Gracie for the last 3 weeks, I'm like, I do not drink enough water, so I have to steal that one.
It's a game changer.
That's a good one.
Yeah, everyone's having to remind each other all the time.
Yeah, it's kind of like, are you being an asshole or are you just thirsty, bro? Like that's okay. Last one here. What's the best advice that you've ever gotten or given when it comes to running a show?
Direct to the question, but it's just to keep learning. You never know enough, and
That's
even
true,
like talking to the
a
guys who are at the top of the top doing the biggest artists in the world, they're like, we're always still learning. Like no one's above me. I don't know everything. It's like every single person you meet, even if they're like technically lower than you or not doing as long, you can always take something away from the people that you're around. So that's huge.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's advice he gets and gives.
Yeah.
Because I view that as a Johnnyism in my head of like, I think like we never know everything. Definitely feel that way.
What's a Vinnyism? Actually, I want to hear this from you.
There's too many.
There is honestly too many. I think the advice I give a lot of people is to, if you're like getting a job offer or you see a possible opportunity, this could be like passe, but just say you can do it and figure it out later. Yeah. That's like, if you feel confident in yourself, if you have that confidence in yourself to be able to figure it out, because that's how I did it. Yeah. I got asked to MD for someone, and I was like, yeah, I do that. Did not know. Had no idea. And I just went to YouTube University, watched every video possible, called every person that I knew through a person. And that's what made me obsessed with community, was I was like, oh, wow, these guys who I don't even know were just down to show me how they did their job. So, yeah.
Keep learning. Never stop learning. And just say yes.
And just say
Figure it out. Yeah. I mean, that's literally what your whole career has been, and you guys are building this awesome empire. So
thank you.
Super cool. Excited to see where it'll be in just one more year from now. Thank you guys for being here.
Of course.
Appreciate this, y'all.